The Mursaat Overseer is the second encounter in the 4th raid wing, Bastion of the Penitent, and is probably the easiest raid boss due to its low health and very few mechanics. This makes the encounter great for beginning raiders. Mursaat Overseer fight is basically a chessboard made up of 4x4 squares. When you first enter, the boss will be unmoving in the center, and you will see 3 interactable objects on your side of the room that give special actions to the 3 players that choose to take them. When the last one is picked up, the game will begin. The fight is divided into 4 phases, with each phase being every 25% of the boss's health. During these phases, a new pattern is formed every 10 seconds that has lethal spikes popping up at various squares on the board. Your goal is to kill the Overseer while avoiding these lethal spikes and dealing with the 4 Jade Scouts that move along the chessboard from one end to the other. In addition to the spikes, there will be enemy tiles marked as yellow that pulsate damage to players that can be claimed back. Enemy tiles are yellow overlay on top of the squares. Initially, the back 8 tiles have this, but as the Jade Scouts move, they will claim the tiles and mark them as enemy tiles. Enemy tiles have a pulsating AoE on them that deals fairly significant damage and puts poison stacks on you that can down you very quickly. To remove enemy tiles, you must use the Claim Special Action skill that one player will pick up before the fight begins. The boss will be drawn to the player with the claim. He or she will become the tank, and if you have it, your job is to guide the boss to desired spots on the board and to use your special action key, which has an 8-second cooldown, to turn enemy tiles back into friendly tiles with a ground target skill. The claim will also get a handy icon above their head. These lethal spikes pop up on certain squares on a fixated pattern. New patterns are formed every 10 seconds. However, every 25% of the boss's health, the pattern ends and the next pattern begins. If you get hit by these lethal spikes, you are dead instantly. The squares glow greenish with small spikes before the larger lethal spikes pop up, so you have plenty of time to dodge or move out. As for tanking, you can keep Mursaat Overseer near the middle and have your group move to the safe squares as they pop up. This will minimize movement and maximize DPS. Everyone will follow the claimer to the safe squares. If you are unsure of the pattern as a claimer, you can wait till you start to see the spike, then quickly move to a tile without them. I would recommend staying in the 4 middle tiles of the board at least. For Phase 4, Pattern 5, you can use the Protect skill to avoid moving from the center. Protect is another one of the interactables you see prior to the fight. This skill has a 3-minute cooldown, so you'll probably only use it once per fight at most. Using the skill puts down a bubble at your current location. Once you see the spikes start to appear, you can place this down and I'll have a few seconds, and whoever is inside of it will be invulnerable to the lethal spikes and any other damage. There are 4 Jade Scouts that start their journey from the back of the room and slowly move their way to the front. They have a shield initially that makes them immune to damage, and their shield must be removed using the Dispel special skill, which is the 3rd and final of the interactables you see prior to the fight. Dispel makes the Jade Scouts and soldiers vulnerable. This has an 18-second cooldown and has 1500 range. Make sure you have a clear shot and the enemy targeted before you use it. Once they get their shield removed, they become stunned briefly and can be damaged. Once the scouts are quote-unquote killed, however, they simply pause their movement and regenerate their health back to full slowly, and then continue moving once at full health. They will repeat this until they reach the other end. During their trek, they will claim any squares they pass through and put the enemy tile AoE on it. The player with Claim Special Action skill must reverse it to prevent your team from taking damage. Once the Jade Scouts reach the far side of the board, they transform into Jade Soldiers. The soldiers have a bigger pulsing AoE and will move towards your group to attack and can do a considerable amount of damage. You can cleave them down, but be aware, when the soldier reaches 1% health, they will explode, dealing damage. I believe you can prevent this damage from happening by having the soldier explode on an enemy tile rather than a friendly tile. Once a Jade Soldier is killed, a Jade Scout will spawn in its original place at the back of the room and start the trek again. The trick with this to avoid damage dealt to your group by controlling the rate at which the scouts become soldiers. A popular tactic is to damage the center 2 scouts at the beginning of the fight, stopping their movement and letting the outer 2 scouts become soldiers, so you can deal damage with them 2 at a time to make it more manageable and continue staggering it throughout the fight. Many groups will take a Necromancer to epidemic the boss and easily spread to the scouts and soldiers. It is important for those with the special action skills to prioritize the use of those over their personal rotation, as the special actions are key to succeeding in the fight. If someone with the special action should die, their interactable would return to its original location, should someone else want to assume the role. I would recommend many players save their heals, especially group heals, for when you're being attacked by multiple Jade soldiers, because that could be very heavy damage, especially if you're hit by the explosion. Druids may also want to save their Celestial Avatar for that as well. Also, Chronomancers, be careful when entering Continuum Split that you are not on a tile that will soon be spiked, or once you exit Continuum Split and are sent to your original location, you may die. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward, just lay on the DPS and you should be all good. If you have any comments or questions about the fight, or advice for new players regarding the fight, leave that all down in the description, and I'll see you all in the next raid video. Thanks.